Right, this lesson is about recording macros and using macros in Excel. Very similar to recording and using macros in Word. The only difference is in Word you're able to save a macro or in a button. In other words, I can create a button in order to launch my macros. We don't have that feature available in Excel. Not a big deal. Essentially, it's the same. So whenever you want to repeat a series of steps automatically, you would record a macro to do that. I typically use macros to run when I first open a document so that it can format it the way that I want to. However, there are many things that you use macros for. So if you want to automate some stuff within a file or within Excel in general, you can use a macro to record all those things and then have them run automatically. So view and macro, and I can hit record macro. Now don't be alarmed, it's not recording yet. You got to give it a name. You got to do all kinds of stuff. So first I give it a name. So let's say I want to go big page, and it doesn't like spaces, so you can use underscore. And this particular macro is going to make my page as big as possible so that I can put all kinds of stuff on it. You can assign a control plus key as a shortcut, but we've got enough of those to remember. I don't typically use this feature, but it is available. And store in. Typically, you have the ability to store it in a specific workbook only, right? But I like to store it in what's called the personal macro workbook. In other words, this will always be available regardless of the file that I open. So I much prefer this. And you can give it a description and say exactly what it is that it does. So when you're looking through your list, you'll remember which one does what. So here I can say margins, and I could say repeat row 1 and column A, right? So these are all things we're going to learn how to do in other lessons, but I just want to have something to do. As soon as I hit OK, it's recording, but again, it doesn't care how long you're taking. You can take all the time you want. It's not a big deal. In Word, you get a little cassette that tells you that it's being recorded, but in Excel, it tells you down here that it's being recorded, that little box there. And that's how you stop it when you're done. So again, the amount of time I'm taking is irrelevant. So I'm going to go to page layout, and I'm going to do some page layout stuff. So I'm going to say, all right, so I want this particular macro to change my margins to make them bigger. And I want more room in which to put stuff. And then you can have headers. Here I'll just say I want row 1 to be repeated on all of my pages. And I want column A to be repeated. If you have no idea what this means, don't worry, it's in another lesson. And then I would hit OK. And those things would get done automatically when I run my macro. When you're done, you would just simply hit stop. And that's been recorded. Now, I'm going to ask for a new sheet here. And if this worked properly, I should be able to go to View. And then macros, and then view macros. And there's the one that I just recorded, and then I just run it. And now all of those things have been set. If I go to page layout, I should be able to see that all those things are exactly as I set them. Perfect. So that is how you record and then run your macro. They want you to know that you can edit the macro, but they don't actually show you how because we don't know the language. You would need to know how to write in this language. So if you want to edit a macro, you go to View, and then you would hit Edit. But after that, good luck. Here it's saying that that workbook is hidden, so we can't do it anyway. And I wouldn't. That's how you would do it, but you need to know the language. So I would typically, if I want to redo a macro, I'll just delete it and then start it over. But it is, in theory, editable, just so you know.